the city's top cop. Former Detective Russell Poole has filed suit against the department. Poole says he uncovered dirty cops while investigating the murders of rappers Biggie Smalls and Tupac Shakur.
I provided the chief with enough information and evidence that would warrant a full probe. And at that meeting, I was ordered not to investigate any further.
Friendship. She blamed its breakup on a dispute between Suge Knight at Death Row Records and Puffy Coombs at Bad Boy Records.
All it was is a Puffy and Suge Knight war. Suge Knight, for some reason, had a friend or a cousin or a nephew got shot down in Atlanta, Georgia. He blamed Puffy and hell break loose. So if that's the case, Puffy, Suge Knight solved your damn problem. They should have done that. So that's where the East Coast, West Coast thing came. Everybody wants to be famous, so they went to the newspaper and gave their own little stories, and everybody started East Coast, West Coast. East Coast was Puffy, West Coast was Suge Knight, East Coast was Biggie, West Coast was Tupac. Come on now. You're messing with lives here. And that's exactly what happened. 2 lives were lost as a result of what? Stupidity?
Frank Alexander appeared to be the fall guy. Despite the incident with the Crip at the MGM, Frank was the only bodyguard assigned to Tupac that night. He was unarmed and did not have a radio. When he refused to lie about the incident, Frank received death threats. Frank spent the year following Tupac's death severely depressed. He smoked all the dope and contemplated suicide. Frank wrote a book about his experiences as Tupac's bodyguard called Got Your Back.
So, and what do you think? I mean, you mentioned in your book that there were, rumors that it was an inside job.
I never mentioned in my book that there was rumors of an inside job because I had been on vacation prior to going back that day to Las Vegas to work, and
I think the exact phrase you used in your book was that there were rumors that Suge Knight had orchestrated the killing.
I didn't even say that in my book.
Okay, so this is an exact quote from your book.
Okay.
It says, word circulated that the shooting was orchestrated by Suge.
Word circulated.
It
did not circulate from me saying anything.
No, I said that was the quote from the book.
Okay.
Word circulated.
That it has circulated, it should have something to do with it.
The shooting was orchestrated. The killing was orchestrated
by Suge.
Because I think in the book you also said that you were frightened that Suge wanted to kill you.
It wasn't that Suge himself or had anyone say that he wanted to kill me. I was getting death threats. I got death threats indirectly through employees that were still at Right Way, people that I knew that were friends of mine.
Other policemen, though?
I never heard it from a police officer saying that I was going to be killed or anything like that. But I was told by LAPD and also by Las Vegas Metro to watch my back.
I just wondered why you wrote that you were frightened of Suge and that Suge wanted to kill you.
I didn't say that Suge wanted to kill me.
Well, I can give you another quote.
I'm gonna help you on that. A friend of mine called me and said, Suge wants you dead. I go, what? He goes, DR. I go, DR? He goes, yes, Death Row Records wants you dead, which I have on tape. I have it recorded.
Other than the fictitious bullet in the head, further questions need to be asked about events the night of Tupac's murder. Why, for example, was Frank Alexander asked by Death Row to say that Orlando Emerson the Crip had snatched a chain from Tupac the night before the fight, when in fact that wasn't true?
I was just asked concerning Orlando Anderson to say that Tupac and I had seen him earlier at the MGM when we were over there and Tupac was gambling, to say that he had snatched off a chain off of Tupac's neck. I was told to say that. I was told to say that the night before Tupac died, which was the 12th.
And in fact, that was inaccurate.
It was it was inaccurate.
Valletta, Biggie's mum, said he was really upset by Tupac's death. Russell Poole agreed to meet us anyway. The case is the most important thing in Russell's life. Russell believes that the whole thing started because Suge Knight owed Tupac millions of dollars in royalties. Tupac was about to leave death row and audit them, and that was why he was murdered.
Talk too much to get your spot low. Now you're no longer just a face in the crowd. You're getting so much that niggas might as well bow and move it up with your hustle like you planned it. Breaking dough like the world's greatest bandit. Always got one eye open before the sticker gets posted. So much green chuck they can't understand.
Well, there's Elvis.
Russell now follows developments with a case on his computer.
Is he one of your favorites?
Yeah, I do like Elvis.
Russell was an apple pie, all-American kind of cop. His father, an ex-Marine and ex-sheriff, was his hero and role model. Russell is one of those cops who says he bleeds blue. He's an old-school type of cop.
So it's great we were able to do this finally.
Yeah, well, don't tell Leo. Did you get that on? Leo'll be pissed.
And do you think that there was a connection between the Tupac Shakur killing and the Biggie Smalls killing?
Well, that's basically what it appears to be, a retaliation. Okay, and I think Suge Knight wanted it to look that way. Okay, but you know, had we been able to aggressively investigate and had the heart to connect the two and do a thorough investigation, I think we probably would have found out more information.
And why didn't you?
Well, you know, there's a lot of factors, but I think the fact that law enforcement officers were working for death row, and that was a scandal in itself, okay? The fact that law enforcement officers were working for gangsters, known felons, basically organized crime, because it was no secret that Death Row Records was involved in drug trafficking.
Between 30 and 40 police officers, some of whom are seen here, worked off duty for death row. Suge Knight had a lot of power, even within the DA's office.
Suge Knight, to me, was one of the most powerful gangsters around. He was well organized, he had a lot of power, and what gave him the power is he had dozens and dozens of police officers working in his organization. Okay, he also had a DA that was working on his matters. A gentleman by the name of Larry Longo.
Russell believes that Tupac's murder was organized by Suge Knight to look like a gang killing between the Crips and the Pyrus, also known as the Bloods. It was the night of the Tyson fight at the MGM in Las Vegas. Here he is being congratulated by Tupac and Suge Knight. Prior to the fight, Tupac was walking across the casino when one of Suge Knight's Pyru homies whispered into Tupac's ear that a Crip was standing nearby. This Crip, Orlando Anderson, was supposed to have stolen a death row medallion. Tupac, keen to impress, rushed over and punched Orlando Anderson, knocking him to the ground. Suge Knight joined in with the kicking. It was for this kicking, a parole violation, that Suge Knight would receive 9 years in prison. 2 hours later, Tupac would be mortally wounded fighting for his life. Russell thinks Suge Knight staged the whole casino incident.
He thought he would be able to beat this casino probation thing. He really did. It just backfired on him. There's nothing he could do for his defense, because the whole reason for that setup in the casino was to provide a motive, you know, for Compton Crips to do the hit on Tupac, when in fact Suge Knight's people that he hired was going to do the hit. See, it's very smart. I mean,
Russell referred us to ex-police officer Hackey, one of the law enforcement officers who worked for death row. Hackey was one of Tupac's personal bodyguards. He now operates from here in San Pedro. Ex-officer Hackey works from here as a bounty hunter. He had himself just been released from prison.
Hello. John, how you doing?
Hackey was incarcerated for having a trunk full of AK-47s.
So when did you actually get out?
Actually, to be exact, I was released on the 14th of January.
14th of January.
Yeah.
This is Hackey as a police officer in Plumper, Dunkin' Donut days. He was a Compton police officer for about 14 years. I asked him if being a police officer and working for a criminal organization wasn't a bit of a contradiction.
I think primarily Death Row Records, in a sense, hired individual officers, I mean, who were, in a sense, officers who would, as I said, we see but we don't see.
But isn't that a compromise?
In a sense, I mean, most departments have off-duty work policy.
So it's all right to see drugs when you're off-duty, and it's not all right when you're on-duty?
I can honestly say...
I would say that was compromised.
As a man as my witness upstairs...
Isn't that the word, compromise?
Based on the statement you said, yes, but I have never seen any drugs...
But you were aware, you said?
I had heard, but I have never seen anything with my own eyes.
Well, we're going backwards because you were aware about 30 seconds ago.
I was aware of certain things that I've never seen any drugs.
Right.
Yeah.
Hackey witnessed heated money disputes between Tupac and Suge Knight. At the time of his death, Tupac was owed over $10 million by Death Row. Just before his murder, Tupac told Hackey and others he'd be leaving Death Row and taking unreleased songs worth more millions with him. Hackey regards these as the real motives for Tupac's murder. He complained, though, that my questions were too vague.
So you think what? You think I should be more specific?
Be more specific and direct with your questions.
Okay, do you think Suge Knight orchestrated the hit? Saved by the pager.
Based upon what I've been told within the industry and based upon what I knew for a fact that was going on, see, Tupac was leaving the record company, okay, because Tupac didn't need Suge Knight. He'd had several other offers. I would have to say, in a sense, that he had something to do with the orchestration of the shooting of Tupac.
So tell me, do you think that the two murders, the two killings, were connected? Biggie Smalls and Tupac?
My personal opinion, again. Yes, I believe they're both connected.
And do you think the same person was responsible for orchestrating the two?
Yes.
And that person's in Death Row Records?
Yes.
So why do you think Biggie was killed?
I think, in a sense, Christopher Wallace just happened to be... Yeah, he's a well-known rap artist, but I think basically he just happened to... Based on the situation transpired with Tupac, the flame was lit. So in order to throw the attention off Death Row Records, this man was killed. Next best thing, there was an East-West rivalry. Let's make it seem as if Bad Boy Records had something to do with the shooting of Tupac Shakur, which by no means whatsoever was remotely the case.
This is Suge Knight at his Death Row offices. I wondered if he was the victim of his own gangster posturings, the diamond earrings, the Havana cigar. This is the statement Suge Knight made about him and Tupac, seen here minutes before they were shot at. Suge Knight didn't help his credibility by saying he had a bullet stuck in his head, when in fact medical evidence showed he was only scratched by a piece of flying glass.
Let me ask you something. You were hit as well in that car.
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing okay today? I can see your injury.
I got a bullet still in my head.
The bullet's still in your head?
Yes. The doctor told me that they did brain scans, all kind of stuff, and it went in and cracked my cranium, and it stayed there. They said there'd be more chances for damage to try to take it out to sew it up. I was hit there, I was grazed some other places. I got a deep slash or bullet grazed the back of my neck, which if it had went another inch, it'd hit my spine and paralyzed me.
I can't complain. It's been a good day. So far.
Hackey says he has the documents to prove his claims.
No bell.
No. So, did you manage to get those documents you mentioned?
Yeah, I managed. I told you I can get the documents. That's not an issue. My attorney's working on a thing. I'm working on something. See, once... Are we on tape?
No. We can wait. What's so amazing about these documents?
Put you this way.
Oops.
I've already been offered $250,000. Okay?
$250,000 for what?
These documents.
Really?
Yeah.
From who?
Come on now.
What?
Oh, you got that camera on me again.
$250,000, that's a lot of money.
I told you I made this for money. I mean, excuse my French, I got bullshit. I got fuck off money. I ain't worried about that. I told you I'm saying I got that kind of money. And that's what I'm saying. I got that kind of... I told you I'm not hurting for money. I'm not a millionaire, but I'm far from hurting for money. Remember, I told you that before.
Good morning.
Good morning.
There's certain documentations which indicate certain people who were involved all along, certain people...
In the killing of Biggie.
I would say that'd be a true statement. Okay? There's certain people within the DA's office who've known about these things all along. Now, whether or not someone's actually going to pinpoint that an actual ex-officer killed Biggie, I don't know if they'll ever be able to prove that. But as far as the person who actually did the shooting, as far as I'm concerned, I believe probably within 24 hours, even 2 weeks max, I could have the person in custody, guaranteed who the person is. Okay, and LAPD has known this all along.
And is this the guy that Russell Poole thinks is responsible, Harry Billups?
I would say yes on that. Don't ask me why or how do I know this and that. I refuse to answer that. Okay, but I would say it's a good guess. It's a good. I'd say 99%.
This is the police composite of Biggie's hitman, and this is Russell's main suspect, Harry Billups, a.k.a. Ammar Mohammed, who to this day has never been questioned by the LAPD.
He's known to Suge, he's known to Reggie, he's known to a handful of LAPD officers, which have obviously come about in the Rampart scandal, and obviously the other individual, which is in federal prison for bank robbery. So, I mean, in a sense...
Who's David Mack?
Yeah. So,
Perez's partner.
Let me clarify. Okay, yeah. You know, in a sense, there's just too many, I guess, in a sense, in the whole scenario, whether it be Tupac's killing or Christopher's killing, I mean, there's too many dots that are connecting.
I mean, connecting dots, you can't really make an arrest on that.
Exactly, you can't
It's just
really
an
make
allegation.
It's just an allegation,
And
but again,
but
LAPD is sitting on a major piece of the puzzle.
And why haven't they done anything about it?
You know what? I don't know. Why was Russell Poole taken off the case when he originally brought, hey, Chief, you know, there's corruption, stuff's been going on down in the department. Let's move Russell somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Why are a lot
of murder are at best inconclusive, but there are inconsistencies that beg further questions.
We know who's responsible for this. The problem we have with this case is we don't have anyone willing to come forward and testify to it.
If you knew who killed Tupac, would you tell the police?
Absolutely not.
Ex-detective Poole called up. He's convinced that LAPD officers were involved in Biggie's murder.
You know, had it been just your ordinary drive-by shooting by some unexperienced gangbangers, we would have solved it a long time ago. You got to think to yourself, well, who could do this and get away with it? Cops. If there are cops on our force that are willing to do stuff like this, you have to look at them. You really do.
Biggie grew up in this street, St. James's Place in Brooklyn. We went back to Orange County to see ex-detective Russell Poole. He did a lot of the groundwork on the Biggie murder. So, and tell me, was Kevin Hackey one of your main sources of information?
Yes, he is. He was a main source of information, and his information was worthy of follow-up. And when I tried to follow up on that information, I was stopped and ordered not to go any further.
This toilet bowl sketch was placed on Russell's desk when he insisted on investigating fellow LAPD officers. The piece of excrement marks his place as D1 detective. Russell was then removed from the case. It affected him very deeply.
I almost took my life, but it was my kids that actually saved me, okay? And it hurt. I was betrayed by my own department because of the core values that the Los Angeles Police Department preached from day one. Honesty, integrity, okay? Tell the truth. Swear to tell the truth. Nothing but the truth, so help you God. Do a good job. Do a thorough investigation. Work for the community. I believed in the oath of office. I believed in the protect and serving the people. I really did. But on the inside, behind closed doors, that it wasn't the case. When it came to cops being investigated, we weren't serving the public the way we should have served the public.
Biggie was murdered on March the 9th, 97, 6 months after Tupac. He was leaving the Vibe party at the Peterson Motor Museum in Los Angeles. It was a well-orchestrated hit.
You got to ask yourself one question. Why haven't these cases been solved? And one reason that they were well orchestrated, well planned out, radios being used, communication, and had to be experienced people doing this, which would lead you to believe that experienced police officers knew exactly what to do.
Russell suspected police officer David Mack for orchestrating and organizing the hit, using scanners and radios that were later found in his house. Officer Rafael Perez, Officer Mack's former partner and best friend, who was convicted for the sale of drugs, racketeering and falsifying evidence. Officer Kevin Gaines, who was having an affair with Suge Knight's wife Sharita, who was later killed by a fellow LAPD officer in a road rage incident. Russell also suspected Harry Billups, aka Ammar Mohammed, as a possible hitman. He's godfather to Officer Mack's kids. Officer Mack was later convicted for this bank robbery.
You had a witness in Biggie's entourage who identified David Mack as being at the Peterson Museum. The car used in the case was a black SS Chevy Impala, and David Mack owned one of those. The fact that David Mack took family illness days off just prior to the Biggie Smalls case, which indicates there had to be some planning, and he couldn't be bothered with going to work.
This is the video of Little C's, who was with Biggie when he was shot, and who provided the police composite.
Happened too good, and it was police out there. They shut the party down from a fire drill, so it was police there.
These are FBI photos. The amazing thing is that Biggie and Puffy were under surveillance at the time of the murder. So did you see the FBI?
Yeah, I saw them, and after the Biggie death, I had spoke to a couple of police, and I saw a couple of pictures that they had when they was watching us. They were showing me pictures of me, asking me who is that? I'm telling them that's me. And they asked me who is that? That's Biggie's best friend D.Y. That's
what they were showing you.
No, they were showing us pictures when they was followers and this and that. And they were showing old pictures that that was in this house that the police had in L.A. So I was thinking like, God damn, something real fishy is going on.
Police officers Mack and Perez used to pick up girls at lap dancing bars. It was there that they also met someone called the bookkeeper, who is now himself in jail. It had been very hard to meet the bookkeeper. We were told that he'd been moved to another jail, that he suffered from Tourette's syndrome, that he was manically depressed and didn't want to see anyone, and that he feared he'd be killed if he spoke to us. This is Ron Siebold, his lawyer. This is Mark Hyland, the bookkeeper. He's up for 37 counts of impersonating a lawyer.
In February of '96, several LAPD officers, including Rafael Perez, Nito Durden, and David Mack, were at Fritz's in Bellflower, which is a gentleman's club, a topless bar. And at that meeting was also a gentleman, a rapper, Suge Knight, and some of his other associates and everything. And there was, in a nutshell, there was a hit taken out on Notorious B.I.G. They were talking about planning on how to get the monies and the weapons together. One of the individuals, I do not recall who, said, "Why don't we just get them from evidence like you normally do?" And they all kind of laughed and chuckled and everything. At that point, my jaw about dropped, realizing that, yeah, there's a lot of booze going around here and a lot of drugs going around, but these guys seem very serious. I mean, they were serious. Subsequently, I got immunity on this, right? Federal immunity. Basically, I then I transported.
Mark, you have federal immunity. This is what we talked about before these people came in.
Right.
You do not have district attorney. You do not have immunity from the state. Okay?
Okay. But I transported monies interstate between Los Angeles and Phoenix to arrange the hit on Biggie Small.
And how many times would you say that you met with Suge Knight?
Just a few. Just a few. I never sat down, and I never really knew who he was. I mean, I just knew that he demanded a lot of respect from people. It wasn't until recently that I learned who he is and what he's done. And that's why, like I said, I wish I was making it all up, because I don't know what my life is going to be when I get out.
And why did you decide to come forward with this information?
Guilt. It was wrong. And I didn't want to be involved anymore.